Earthquakes rarely come with any warning. They're sudden, scary, and sometimes powerful enough to cause the ground to actually split apart. So here are a top 10 list of earthquakes that cracked the world. Number 10. The San Andreas Fault. San Andreas is without a doubt the most famous of the faults in the USA. It's been the subject of many Hollywood blockbusters, books, and it's front and center in the story of California's earthquakes. If earthquakes were celebrities, the San Andreas would be their Hollywood agent. The San Andreas Fault runs between the Pacific and North American tectonic plates. These two plates are under constant stress, so it's no wonder that scientists consider this to be one of the most serious and dangerous faults for the USA. The clearly visible crack that runs down the San Andreas fault line continues for a staggering 800 miles. The line passes directly under the subway system, vineyards, roads, residential areas, and city areas, so it's easy to imagine what damage a massive earthquake along the San Andreas Fault could do. Before we move on, I've got a little challenge for you that'll take just 5 seconds to complete. So here's the deal. You just leave a like on this video, smash that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and you'll get 25 years of amazing luck. Try it, it really works. Number 9. Gorkha Quake. An earthquake with a magnitude of 7.8 absolutely slammed Nepal on April 25, 2015. Known as the Gorkha Quake, it toppled over multi-story buildings in Kathmandu and caused landslides in the Himalayas. Sadly, almost 9,000 people died in the quake, and over 20,000 were injured, making it the worst natural disaster to strike Nepal since the 1934 Nepal-Bihar earthquake. The Gorkha Quake caused an avalanche on Mount Everest, killing 21 people. It was the deadliest day in the mountain's history. Aftershocks continued every 15 to 20 minutes for days after the initial quake. The most severe aftershock occurred on May 12th, when a 7.3 magnitude earthquake rattled the region near the Chinese border, killing more than 200 people and leaving thousands more injured. Can you believe the earthquake was so strong it caused a shift in the earth of 10 feet in just 30 seconds? A big piece of earth measuring 120 miles long and 40 miles wide was shifted 10 feet, causing massive seismic cracks leading to a road actually opening up in Kathmandu. Number 8. Highway Collapse. The presence of a gigantic crack in Kenya has many scientists worried that someday the continent of Africa will split apart. The crack running through Kenya measures an impressive 50 feet deep and 60 feet across, although it mostly passes through uninhabited land. It did run into a highway in Nairobi, causing it to eventually collapse. This great rupture was likely an after effect of the drifting of the planet's surface plates. Kenya unfortunately sits atop both the Somali plate and the Nubian plate, which are both constantly in motion, leading scientists to believe that someday more cracks will appear and Africa will eventually break apart. Number 7. Back-to-back Alaska quakes. In November of 2018, Anchorage, Alaska was rocked by a 7.0 earthquake that caused the destruction of buildings and shook the city and its 300,000 residents. It even sent people running into the streets. At the Anchorage airport, a large part of the off-ramp collapsed, causing an unexpected motorist to be stranded on an island of solid ground. Several car crashes were also reported at various locations due to the violent shaking. And if the 7.0 magnitude earthquake wasn't enough for the Anchorage residents, a 5.7 magnitude earthquake struck immediately after. Number 6. July 4th Mojave Quake. Southern California is no stranger to earthquakes. Due to the close proximity of the San Andreas Fault, California is under constant motion and the constant threat of major earthquakes. Every once in a while, the movement of the plates is strong enough to cause the ground to shift up and down, leaving a seismic gash in the ground. One of the most talked about is the Ridgecrest Crack in the Mojave Desert. On July 4, 2019, a 6.4 magnitude quake struck near Ridgecrest in California. It was the biggest in the area in decades. The quake caused the ground to split wide open, and it was felt as far away as Los Angeles and Las Vegas. The crack was so long it could be seen on satellite images, and if earthquakes come as a preview of what's ahead, it could just be a matter of time before California breaks off from the rest of the US. Number 5. Mexican Desert Earthquake. In the northern Mexican desert, a mysterious half-mile-long crack appeared. This massive crack in the world is as deep as 25 feet in some places. Although the Sonora region is not known for seismic activity, the gash in the middle of the desert immediately sparked the imagination of locals and reporters, who determined it must have been caused by an earthquake. But no one in the nearby town had felt anything. This theory seems a bit shaky, as earthquakes in southern Mexico are often felt as far as 700 miles away. So surely an earthquake strong enough to make this crack would have rattled a few nerves as well. A better explanation comes from the chair of the Department of Geology from the University of Sonora, Inocente Guadalupe Espinoza Maldonado. He said that the massive fissure was probably caused by sucking out the groundwater for irrigation in the region. He went on to explain how these fissures are totally normal manifestations, which occur under such circumstances. I'm not totally convinced that giant cracks from irrigation are completely normal, but what do you think? Number 4. The Great Chilean Earthquake. The Great Chilean Earthquake is one of the most powerful earthquakes ever recorded. When the earth opened up and struck Valdivia, Chile in the afternoon of May 22, 1960, it's estimated to have killed a staggering 5,700 people. After numerous studies, it's been determined that the greatest earthquake ever measured was an incredible 9.5 in magnitude, and not only was it utterly massive in its power, the earthquake lasted an incredible 10 minutes. The quake was so powerful, it set off a series of local tsunamis, with waves up to 82 feet that battered the southern Chilean coast. But that was just the beginning. The intense and powerful movement of the Earth's crust sent tidal waves out and across the Pacific Ocean. Tsunamis up to 35 feet devastated Hawaii, while other massive waves reached as far away as Japan, China, Australia, New Zealand, and the Philippines. Number 3. Ecuador Fault. On April 16, 2016, a giant earthquake was felt on the San Ysidro Fault in Ecuador. This 7.8 magnitude quake left the area filled with fissures and sinkholes. Some were so big they even swallowed up farm animals, and even destroyed whole farms across more than 150 hectares of land. The massive cracks together with the sinkholes were devastating to local farmers. A lot of people died in the earthquake, and it was the worst natural disaster in Ecuador since the 1949 Ambato quake, which was much smaller at only a 6.4 magnitude. Number 2. For number 2, this is the work of photo magician Erik Johansson. The Swedish photographer takes inspiration from surrealist painter Salvador Dali to create quirky fantasy images from real-life scenes. Most, if not all, the images Johansson uses are from areas and location he's familiar with in his home Sweden. Johansson always begins with a photo he's taken himself. From this, he may spend weeks, months, or even longer to achieve the final result he wants. In this industry, some people refer to these photo editing geniuses as photo Frankensteins. American fashion photographer Christopher Borgman is another well-known master of the art form, although he applies his skills to models, makeup, and fashion. I wonder what the two of them might achieve if they were to put their heads and images together. Number 1. Gobi Alte. On December 4, 1957, a massive, and when I say massive, I mean massive quake struck in the mountains of Gurvan Gogdo. It formed the northern part of the Gobi Alte in the southern part of the Mongolian People's Republic. The 8.1 magnitude quake was one of the biggest ever recorded in Mongolia. It shook the entire region and was even felt in the Soviet Union and in northern provinces of China. This quake was responsible for a lot of damage. 5 million square kilometers or 2 million square miles to be accurate. Serious damage to buildings stretched as far as 325 kilometers or 200 miles from the epicenter of the quake. The quake left a path of destruction and took no prisoners, leaving ruptures in the land, including one that measures a monstrous 160 miles long. No wonder the Mongolian gash is the most amazing of all the Earth's splits on our list. Thanks for watching Top Quick Peek. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know which other mysteries you'd like to learn about next in the comment section below.